Let's wrap up the first week of June. Hey guys, welcome to Portable Magic. Today we are going to be wrapping up my first week of June. I'm still attempting to do these weekly wrap-ups because I haven't been vlogging. And so I am hoping I can keep this up because I can't seem to keep up with the vlogging because life has been crazy. So my mental health is getting back on track, as you guys probably saw from my last video. Very excited about that. That does mean I am picking up books that I have put off for a little while. Excited about that as well. So let's wrap up the first week. As you guys know, one of my goals for this month was to continue series that I had started but had not completed. And while this was not on my TBR, it was one that I mentioned in forgetting to track. There were books that I forgot to, or series that I forgot to track in my series tracker. And I realized one of my favorite books is Among Thieves by M.J. Kuhn. I had not read Thick as Thieves yet, so we remedied that. I absolutely love this. I love M.J. Kuhn's writing. All of her, well, both of her books are very fast-paced, very move the plot along. And I enjoyed the second installment just as much as I did the first. The characters are rough around the edges, they're fun to follow. I did like that we were still following that type of heist mentality because due to what happens at the end of the first book, we learn some things that, you know, they pulled off this ultimate heist, but things might not have gone exactly to plan. And now our group of rabble-rousers have been spread throughout the kingdom because they broke apart thinking everything was over. Now, what they accomplished in the first book might come back to bite them, and they're trying to prevent this. This is one of the reasons I don't like talking about series continuations, because I can't talk about the second book without spoiling the first book. And while it's a heist story, and heists are typically fast-moving, like get her done type stories, there is a big reveal at the beginning of this book that plays into what happened at the very end of the first book. So it was really good. I gave this 4.5 stars. It didn't quite hit that 5-star that I've been searching for. I am very excited about where my reading is going because I was feeling the lack of the 5 stars, and then last month kind of gave me what I'd been looking for and produced 3 5 stars. I think part of my problem is that I am not reaching for books that I know I will love. And part of that, again, due to mental health and not being able to process what I actually want to read. So I reach for something easy, and I tend to not like easy stories. I tend to not like flowery stories. I like flowery writing, but like fluffy stuff, I guess is what I should say. So while romances are something I gravitate towards, like when my mental health is bad, or, you know, fantasy romance is easy to read and follow, it's not always like my favorite. However, it fulfills what I need to power through in my brain. We're going to get to a couple of those things here in a second, because the second book that I picked up was Shark Heart, and I wanted something different. I wanted to not read fantasy romance. I wanted to not delve into the epic chonkers just yet. And so I went for something that sounded a little weird and a little literary, and it didn't pan out. I ended up DNFing Shark Heart. I feel so bad because there was a couple of people who were really excited for me to read this, and it came down to writing style. I did not click with the writing style at all. The story was interesting, but constantly shifting the way the story was told. And I say that we shifted perspectives, first person, or no, I think it was second person to third person. We would go from journal type entries to play, like it was written like a play. And my brain was just like, this is not what I need right now. And I lost interest very quickly. I think I maybe read 50 pages of this book, and it's not that long, but I was like, okay, I'm done. I just, no, not the right book for me. And I might delve into more later with other books, because I do plan to read something other than series that I'm trying to complete, but that is my goal for this month. So kind of a back and forth here. Shark Heart was about a guy who finds himself turning into a shark, and he's recently married. So they always say the first year of marriage is the hardest. However, how difficult would it be if the person you're falling in love with is actually turning into a shark? And that's the premise of this book, which I thought sounded cool, but it just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. And that brings us to the Patreon buddy read that we recently read. And let me tell you, it was so hard for us to even wait a minute for this book to be released because every single one of us loved Butcher and Blackbird. And so we were eager to get going. And I actually convinced one of my patrons to purchase it with their Audible credit. And then halfway through the book, they got the Libby hold. And I felt really bad for that. But anyway, Leather and Lark is the second book. And in this book, we have Lachlan and Lark, which we learned at the end of Butcher and Blackbird that was who the next book was going to follow. And I liked them as a couple, but I didn't like them as much as Sloane and Rowan. And I think that hindered my rating of this book because it wasn't a 5-star for me. It was a 4-star. And then there were certain tropes and, let's just say, kinks that they went into that weren't my particular flavor. And so I kind of just was like, oh, okay, well, it's good. It's really good, but it's not Butcher and Blackbird. And Sloane as a character, I absolutely loved. Lark as a character she was a bit odd, and that's kind of her thing. She is an odd duck. But I kind of feel like there's not going to be a character in this series that lives up to Sloane for me, and that sucks because even though Sloane was great, I know these other characters will be great as well. I do know that the next book will follow Rose, so I might like her as much as Sloane. We'll see. But I did like the relationship here. I love how these are dark and gory and gross, but they're romance. And so it's just one of those things that either you like it or you don't. And if you like it, you're probably going to love it because it's just so hilarious. And these scenarios that these people get themselves into, you're just like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? And we did learn that there is someone after Lachlan and Lark, but it's not because of anything that they did. It's from Sloane and Rowan and what they did. So gonna leave it there because I don't want to spoil anything, but if you know, you know. Yes, there is some gross food stuff in here again. I don't think it's quite as bad as the ice cream, but it's still pretty bad. And I don't think it's ruined pizza for me, but I'm not going to try and think about what happened with the pizza. We're just not going to think about that when we eat pizza because pizza is my favorite food. So it was really funny. I sent a picture of me eating cookies and cream ice cream to the Discord just before this book released. And they were like, where's the eyeballs? And my kid did have some gummy eyeballs, but he ate them before I could get like a good picture of cookies and cream ice cream with the eyeballs. Maybe I'll have to like do that one day like for a vlog or something. I don't know. Anyway, Leather and Lark was really good. Really, really good. It just didn't quite meet Butcher and Blackbird's level of awesomeness, in my opinion. Now, I am the only one in the group that didn't give this 5 stars. So take that with a grain of salt because I am the only one who didn't think it lived up to the original. So that's not true. I think that I was a little bit harsher in my judgment of it because it didn't live up to it. So I couldn't give it a 5 star. Even if my 4 star was a 4.5, that would be rounded up. And continuing on with goals that I've had for the year, I have a stack of books and I will link the video down below. But it's books that will self-destruct if I don't read them within the year. And oh my gosh, I read Blood Heir. Now, this was gifted to me through Andrew's Wizardly Reads Discord during their Christmas swap. And it says, Blood Heir is a favorite of mine. I hope you enjoy it. From Mari, book reading, coffee drinking. So she gifted this to me during the Christmas swap. And holy crap, I cannot believe this series is so slept on. I gave this 5 stars. So in this book, we have a princess and a con man who meet up. She is after him because she wants help clearing her name for a crime she didn't commit. And so she wants to go back to her kingdom, clear her name, tell everyone what actually happened, but she has to find the person that actually committed this crime before she can actually go back. However, there is another thing holding her back from going to her kingdom because she is what is considered a blood witch. And she is one of the most powerful witches of this kingdom. That's not what they call them, though. What do they call them? Affinities. They have affinities for certain magics. But because of this, something happens in her childhood that causes her to be locked away in a tower and forgotten about. And then during the course of this, she escapes, but everyone else thinks she's dead. So the whole kingdom thinks she's dead. They have a funeral for her, all of this stuff. So when she returns, she's gonna have to bring some firepower with her to prove what's actually going on. Now she meets up with this con man. She has him track down the person that was actually responsible for what happened when Anna's father is murdered. That's the big thing that happened. It tells you in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling that. But he tells her he'll make a deal with her, and if she helps him, he'll help her. And so they go through all of these crazy things together. It is so dang good. And I couldn't stop reading this. I was drawn to these characters. I cried twice, and whenever a big reveal happens, I like jumped out of my chair and was like, yes! And then my family, I scared them because I was like, oh my gosh, this happened. And they were like, what are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, no! So yeah, I can't believe this was on my Self-Destructing Books. I did put it on there for the simple fact that I wanted to force myself to read it. And I have talked to people since who are like, this series is so slept on. It's amazing. And I'm like, yeah. Now this is YA, but I don't think it reads very young. And to be perfectly honest, if you wouldn't have told me that this was YA, I wouldn't have known. So it was so good, so good. A lot of political maneuvering, a lot of shady things going on because of the male main character. His name is Quick Tongue, but Ramson Quick Tongue. A lot of shady things going on with him. He is a shady character. He has some maniacal ways and he's not trustworthy. And so you can't really rely on what he says to be what is fact. And just his backstory is awesome. Her backstory is horrific. And the things that happen in here, there are some horrific things that happen in here. Like I said, I cried twice, but so good. Okay. On that note, those are the books that I have finished. Now, I am trying to keep this 5-star streak going, and I am reading No Port in a Storm. This one I'm reading physically, and I'm reading it when I go to bed. I have been having issues with sleep lately, so I either pass out or I can't sleep at all. And so when I sit down to read, sometimes I don't get very far. I think I'm like 92 pages into this. Yes. And so I would really like to sit down with this book at some point. I'll probably read a little bit of it today because my kiddo is going off to spend the night with his grandma, and but we'll be going out tonight ourselves. So I don't know if I will get to this later, but I might pick it up after I finish recording this. And again, to keep the 5-star streak going, I will be reading The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. If you look at my Goodreads, it says I'm 26% into this. That is a lie. I did read 26% of this when I sat down to read it the first time, and I cannot tell you what happened. My mental state was not ready for this, and so everything that I read just went in one ear, out the other, in one eyeball, out the other. I don't know how you want to say that, but I want to get back to this because this is one of my favorite series of all time. The first 2 books were absolutely amazing. The second book gave me the biggest hangover of my life. And so I really want to finish out this series. I know that this is a very condensed version that should have been 3 books piled into this 1 book. So I do still have high hopes for it. I do still want it to be a 5 stars, but I know that there's a chance that it won't be a 5-star. So I even if it's a high 4-star, I will be very, very happy. And I don't know what I'm going to pick up after this, but this is going to take me a while. So my next reading wrap up might be The Lonesome Crown and No Port in a Storm. All right, that's it for my video today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.